got to release this for the world, man. It's a lot of power between the three of us. And when we all unify and work together on things, man, we're that much stronger. So I feel like this got to go as many places as possible, bro.
I couldn't agree with you more. We've been talking about doing an episode like this for months now. This ain't just something that we just happened to stumble about. Even though the text was sent and everybody decided, yes, this is the day, I feel like this has been in the making for quite some time.
Yes.
We've linked up individually on all of our respective platforms. Now it's our opportunity for the people that have heard us come together now to talk about some important topics, man, stuff that needs to be addressed. Not just being unbiased. We want to also unlock some levels, create some greatness along the way, and show these people how to be blessed beyond measure. So, I mean, hey, we got the trio in here. You know what I'm saying? We got Cerberus, the Cerberus of the podcast game. Has shown his head, man. As you all know, I am the number one real one, Cameron A. Sharpe, host of the Unbiased Truth Podcast.
Hey, go ahead, Rob. Let them know who you are, man.
Hey, man, I'm just so grateful to be here. The King of Comebakks with 2 Ks at the end, Creating Greatness Podcast, and the stars have aligned. The planets are all in perfect alignment with each other, and got the three. The power trio here, man. The new podcast group. You know, the guys have been working together for a long time, cooking this thing in a pot, trying to come up with some powerful content, man, to give to the people. My man Cameron A. Sharpe, I'm so glad to be here with you again. CL, man, it's always a pleasure. You know, I feel like you're like an Instagram celebrity now. So actually, you know, talking to you person to person, man, like I'm honored, man. And that ain't no joke, man. That ain't no shade, brother. I love you, man.
It's all love around these parts. You already know, bro. And everybody that's tuned in, man, it's your boy CL the Source, your friendly neighborhood hope dealer, just tapping back in with my brothers. 2 gods, 3 gods, just linking up, putting that God energy together and just sending a lot of love and light into the universe. That way, you know, we can heal the world, man. Heal ourselves by healing the world, man. That's what we do.
Man, it's just so incredible to be around this energy. And make sure wherever you are right now, turn us up in your speakers. Charge your Bluetooth headphones. As a matter of fact, put them on the charger. Go get your plug-in headphones right now. Plug them in. You don't want your phone to die on this, so make sure you got your phone charged up as well. If you got your computer set up, make sure you got your VPN set up so nobody try to trace your IP address, because we going live right now on all 3 of our platforms. That's right. No matter where you go, you can go to Unlocking Levels, you can go to Creating Greatness Podcast, you can go to the Unbiased Truth Podcast, and you will find this episode. We doing something so unique to the podcast community. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but we might as well keep on hitting upside the head with all this creativity, man. We going live right now.
100%, absolutely, man. This is all organic, all from the heart, all from that place of righteousness and love. And we got to credit, you know, our man King of Comebakks right here, because this was his idea. And you know, we linked up. It's been a long time coming for sure. And he mentioned the stars have finally aligned in divine timing, and we finally got it happen to kick off this 2023 new year. But we've been talking about it for quite some time, gentlemen, and I'm so glad to be here with y'all. And we got some great topics to discuss, all talking about helping young men, helping people just grow and evolve, you know, help create greatness in their own right, help come from that unbiased truth, help unlock levels and potential. Man, this is about to be a powerful podcast, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. It was my idea, but the idea was only because I've been doing this podcast for 2 years now. And I've done a lot of podcasts for other people, and other people have been on my podcast quite a few times. And from early on, connecting with Cam and connecting with CL, I just felt a brotherhood there and a camaraderie. And while everyone that I associate myself with podcasting is talented in their own right, something that always strikes me in my heart is knowing that these 2 gentlemen are coming from their heart. You know, whether they're trying to eventually make monetary gains, whether they're trying to turn into a business or promote their brand or themselves in whatever manner, it ultimately comes from the heart. And I call myself the King of Comebacks because I've been down and out, and now I'm back. These 2 gentlemen have also been through tremendous amount of adversity and overcame it, man. So the mutual love is there, the mutual respect is there, and I'm excited, man. Let's do it.
Man, yeah, y'all are in for a treat. And like CL said, we're going to be able to just provide our unbiased truths, try to build you all up to be greater people and just unlock some levels in your life by speaking to a diverse range of topics. I'm talking about things that can not only empower young men, but just women, children. I'm talking about even kids in the womb right now. They can play this episode like Mozart's music and the baby gonna get smarter. I'm telling you right now, I'm not joking. The information we're gonna be giving y'all is stuff that not only we've heard about, but we see it in our everyday lives, specifically to these young men out here. That's who we're going to be trying to gear in some of this information to on this episode. We see a lot of misinformation going on these platforms, in their textbooks, and even in their faces as some of their parents start to digest and then put these agendas onto them. It's information that causes them not to feel strong, not to feel like they want to be a man, thinking that it might be a little overwhelming to fulfill their role in what society's claiming they are. They're not seeing strong representations of men being promoted and being praised. A lot of times these young men are feeling lost. They're feeling like they don't have a voice that's speaking out for them, and they want to know how can they get around other men and express themselves. And that's kind of when I want to start gearing this topic towards to begin with, fellas. I got one question I want to ask you and everybody out there listening, specifically the young men. All right, Robert, when did you find out that it was okay to cry?
Oh man, I can't really think of an exact moment where I felt like it was okay for me to cry. I know growing up, it certainly wasn't. And I think that was part of the reason for me leading myself down a very self-destructive path, was because I was taught, or at least infer, that I wasn't allowed to have feelings. If I expressed my feelings or my emotions, I was called a punk or a PUSSY or whatever. So I always thought falsely that being a man was not having any feelings. What I learned later on in life was being a man was sometimes holding back your feelings for the greater good, but also being able to effectively manage those feelings and sort of sort them where they need to be within your mind and body to have a healthy balance within yourself. I will say, I remember when I cried and didn't give a damn if I was allowed to or if it was okay with anybody, because I had reached a point in my life where none of that stuff mattered anymore, and it was a place of liberation and freedom. And I talk about it quite a bit. I talked about it on Blessed Beyond Measure podcast before, when it was that, and now it's Unlocking Levels. That when I hit my rock bottom and when I got into that place where I was at, it was cold, it was metal, it was dark, and I was flooded with sheets of charges that I supposedly had done. And I had no one to call. I had no one to visit me. I had no one to write a letter to. There was no one that could help me or save me. And I realized that it's all on you. It's all on you. No one's ever going to come and save you. No one's ever going to come and make your life miraculously better, man. So that moment, although it may sound sort of sad, was exact opposite for me. It was liberating. It was like, I'm no longer waiting for anyone. I know that I have the responsibility. I also know that I have the power. But first, I'm going to break down really fast and let all this stuff go. Yeah. And I guess that is the moment where I felt the okayness about it, because I had reached that place within myself where I no longer cared what anyone thought, because I knew none of them were going to help me. And I maintain that space today. If I gotta, it's been a while, but if I gotta let it out, man, it's gotta go. You know when I'm guilty of shedding a tear, and I will say this, so that all men know that it's okay. Movies.
They'll get you, man.
A wide range of emotions during movies that I don't feel in real life, that I don't want to no longer feel in life. Emotions maybe that I have a history with, and I can relate to on some level. And yes, I have shed a tear during movies.
Man, it sounds like you've been breaking down to break through, and that's important. That's an important perspective to have, man. What about you, CL? When did you find
Man, you know what, Cam? I think that's a brilliant question, first of all. And I think, first of all, before I even continue to tell my story, it is okay for men to express themselves. If that means you got to cry, then cry. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes life shit gets heavy. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the pressure can get to you. And if that's the case, you know what I'm saying? Like, find an outlet. You know what I'm saying? If you got to have a good cry, have a good cry. That's fine, man. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, after you do so, pick yourself back up and keep moving forward and keep building and keep, getting stronger and working on your craft. But, when those moments happen, allow yourself to feel that way, identify those emotions, and just let yourself feel that shit. Let it run its course and keep going. Now, for me personally, similar to Rob, man, it was the same thing, you know what I'm saying? In terms of, I didn't think it was okay to cry as a young boy, as a man, you know what I'm saying? Like I was taught to kind of just suck it up and keep moving, you know what I'm saying? And keep going, kind of like a lot of men go through, you know what I'm saying, in their life. But at the same time, there were so many moments where I felt like, damn, this pressure, this is a lot. Like this life can get definitely heavy, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what am I gonna do? So, but for me, I really I can't pinpoint an exact time, but I do know that when I did hit my rock bottom, similar to Rob, that's when I could no longer hold the floodgates back. I was like, you know what, man, I don't give a damn. I'm about to let this go, because if not, that energy is going to be turned outwards into some other destructive type of way. And I was not about to do all that. So I had to kind of allow myself to feel the way I needed to feel. And, again, just pick yourself back up. Sometimes we break down to break through, just like you said. And I love that. It's a beautiful statement, because you have to kind of do that to pick up the pieces and pick yourself back up and keep moving forward. Now, in today's day and age, as I become so much more in tune with myself, man, I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to cry. If you feel a certain type of way, go ahead. Like, who cares? Like, if you're secure in yourself enough to the point where you know yourself and you love yourself, it shouldn't matter what anybody else thinks about you. I'm not saying I sit here and cry all the time, but I've had moments where I'm in solitude and I'm just so tapped in, bro. And I'm just like, this life is beautiful. And I'm just overjoyed and overwhelmed with how amazing and how precious this life is. And I've shed a tear, and I've just been so thankful and grateful. Like, I had a moment here in Hawaii. Y'all both know I moved out to Hawaii not too long ago, and I've had so many moments out here where I was just looking up at the stars, bro, and just looking at how beautiful this place is. And I'm just like, damn, this is beautiful. And I'm just like overjoyed and just like, damn, and just so thankful and so grounded in where I'm at. And then that gave me it was like a new type of motivation. I was like, damn, I got to take advantage of the time that I got on this earth, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not promised. I don't know what's going to happen the next day. So I'm going to sit here and be present in this moment. Like I'm being present with y'all, man. Like I got nothing else going on right now, but being right here with y'all.
Man, that's like such a level of dedication and honoring your emotions in those moments in order to even just be able to express what you gentlemen just expressed. And for me, it always was obvious to me that I was able to cry, because my mother and my father had a strong hand over my life. Like, they always wanted to create that safe space for me to express myself however I wanted to express myself. And when I realized that I had that as opposed to some of my other people that I was around in life, I realized, oh shit, I don't want to be an example, but I want to be a safe space for my people to be able to experience what I get every single day unselfishly from my parents, man. I want to be a safe space for my homeboys to express themselves, to not feel judged, to not feel beat up by whatever society we have to walk into the next day. I mean, it's changed so rapidly in my generation, fam. We went from going to computer labs to having computers in our pockets, all within 10 to 15 years, man. And some of our young men started dealing with these mental health issues, whether it be due to contact sports, or it be to social media, or it be to their art. Man, motherfuckers started rapping, motherfuckers started doing like all kind of stuff, producing beats, all in a way to do what? Express themselves. I know a lot of brothers that was writing poetries or short plays and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, like, I didn't even know you wrote stuff like that. We were all finding outlets, but not coming together to express ourselves. And that's what I wanted to be, y'all. I wanted to be that bridge. So I went about my work, right? Try to become a social butterfly. Finding out that this jock over here that's throwing touchdowns every Friday night has the same issues as this nerd right here that literally gets straight A's and nobody has any worries about him. It's all connected through our ability to want something that most men want, and that's status. We all want to feel good about where we are. We all want to feel great about where we are. But feeling good about yourself doesn't mean that you're being strong. Doesn't mean that you're being tough. It means that you're responsible for everything that's going on within you. And that's why I'm glad that we're having this conversation in front of young men and letting them know, yo, we all come to a point, whether it be through breaking down to break through or being taught through our own agendas, that we need to cry. We need to express ourselves. And I'm not just talking about physically crying, y'all. I'm talking about literally expressing ourselves. Bleed out, fam, in public, unselfishly. Be as happy as you want to be, because that's the true measure of a man. A lot of things that are being taught out here right now in society, man. I know y'all see it, man. I know y'all see it. Happy wife, happy life. And some of these young men, they feel excluded in relationships as well. Now listen, I ain't married, y'all. Y'all know me. All right, I be keeping it real, but I ain't married, man. But I mean, we do have somebody that is married, Robert. You know, when you hear that statement, how true is that to how life should be run when you're in a relationship with a woman?
Oh man, I'm getting ready to be a guest for the first time on a love and relationships podcast. Yeah. So this is good practice.
Yes,
thank
indeed.
you so much. Figured I'd throw the shameless plug in there. I don't even remember the name of the podcast. I'll say it later on Creating Greatness.
Mm-hmm.
But, I learned a lot being married about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. A lot about myself as well. And the happy wife, happy life for me is true. I think that it is always circumstantial. I was in so many toxic relationships because I wasn't in a place of self-love. I didn't love myself, therefore I wasn't able to give love, and therefore I attracted the negativity to myself and was involved in all these toxic relationships where I was giving more than I was getting. So if you're basing your relationship goals off of that statement, a happy wife is a happy life, and you're giving, you could be subject to be taken advantage of. So as I first got with my wife, I was afraid to give because I had been hurt so many times, giving and getting taken from, being kicked while you were down and left when you were out. So I was very hesitant to give, but I was not hesitant to receive the nurturing, the love, and the loyalty and respect, and the holding me on a pedestal as the paternal figure in the family. I wasn't hesitant about receiving those perks of a monogamous relationship. So over time, learning to communicate a little bit better, and also through failure, my wife called me out on so much BS early on in my relationship with her that I had to make a decision whether I loved my family more than I loved myself and my self-destructive behaviors. I learned about how to respect a woman, how to take care of a woman, how to understand their feelings and emotions even when you have no idea what they're about.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I still don't. My wife could be mad at me and I cannot even process the reasoning behind it. And if I would try to, I would go nuts. But here goes the thing. It's valid.
Yeah.
Because she feels that way. And she can know that I don't feel that way and I don't agree with her feeling that way. But the act of me trying to understand it and letting her know that it's okay and it's valid. And I can most times get to a place through communication where I can at least understand why she possibly could feel that way. And that really creates a circumstance where the energy is give and take. Now she's feeling open and loved and heard. As I start giving that energy back to her, because now I'm becoming a better person, I'm becoming worthy of her. You know, everybody wants a good woman, but they're not always willing to step up to the plate when they get one. Fortunately for me, my wife put those non-negotiables in the contract. You know, I won't deal with this, I won't deal with that, but everything else we could work through. And we did. And because of that love and loyalty, it broke through the shell that other people had me put up. And I'll never forget this, and I'll end with this. And this is why I have no problem keeping my wife happy. I go way out of my way to protect my wife's feelings, to make sure she feels loved and adored, and to make sure, you know, that she is happy. Because for me, when she's happy, when I'm doing all those things, I'm the happiest man I could possibly be because she reciprocates.
Yes.
So, you know, it's all circumstantial as far as that statement. I do follow it because it works for me. But when I knew I was going to marry my wife was this. I had been through very many bad things, relationship-wise. I've been hurt, I had been left, I've been, loved and lost and kicked while I was down, all kinds of things to jade me. But I was with my wife, we were together, we had our first son, but we weren't married yet. We were working towards that. We were working out a lot of kinks because I was not a good person yet. My wife made me a good person. And I was working as a production manager. I was making a good salary, but I hated it. I get my personal training license. I tell my wife, I say, I'm quitting my job. I'm going to start being a personal trainer. I'm going to make significantly less money. I'm going to make significantly less money, but I just got to do it. And my wife says to me, not my wife at the time, but soon to be after she says this, I go, I'm going to make less money, but I'm going to make it work. And she says to me, I know you will. Quit that damn job. I love you forever. You can't buy that kind of loyalty in a life. You can't buy someone that encourages you, someone that's your cheerleader, someone that's in your corner every goddamn day, no matter what. Somebody that you've exposed yourself on all levels. They've seen all your demons. They know who you are to the bottom, to the bone gristle. They know all the good, the bad, and in between. And they've accepted you, and they still love you, man. And they'll work with you through all that nonsense as long as you don't disrespect them. And being with a person of that caliber, damn right she's happy, and I'm gonna keep her that way.
Man, that man drops so many gems, especially for the fellas that are currently in that marriage situation, or in marriage in general, especially for those people that are married. If you listen to what Robert just said, you'll understand that happy wife, happy life statement is about reciprocity. CL, how do you feel as a man that's, you've been in relationships before, and if you're marriage minded at any point in time, how did you feel when you heard that statement, happy wife, happy life?
Well, first of all, I just gotta say that was beautiful what you said, Rob, man. As I'm listening to you speak, I'm thinking of a book I recently read. It was called The Way of the Superior Man. It talks a lot about the divine feminine and the, masculinity portion of everything, and how we need each other to be our most powerful. And just the way you melded both worlds. If you keep your wife happy, right, and you protect her and you make her feel secure and loved and seen and all of these different things, she will in turn make your life the happiest possible. And she will make you believe in yourself like you don't even believe in yourself. And that's what I gathered from what you said. That's a beautiful thing. And I think when there's a merger like that, you can go anywhere you want to in this world. And I know your story, man. You've been going places that I haven't even been to yet. Yeah. He's a traveler. For those that people don't know, he's I don't even know where you're at right now. He in a different part of the world for sure. Where you at right now, Rob?
I'm on Oro Valley.
Okay.
Oro Valley. It's outside of Tucson. I wish you could see what I'm seeing now. Is this a huge giant mountain? It's a beautiful area. We were debating on going back to Hawaii. I was wanting to get up with my man, see out the source, but not unfortunately, because I love Florida. We're gonna be heading back to Florida in March. I'm buying a place out there, so we may
in due time, bro. In due time, brother. In time for sure.
Let me say something about what you said though, about that merger before I forget, because I think it's very important for young men to understand this. Yeah. There's a lot of coolness labeled around being single and being the power player, and all that's great. I mean, please, I didn't get married till I was in my late 30s, man, and that was right for me. I didn't have my first son until I was, in my late 30s, and that was good for me because I was done maturing. But being marriage minded at some point in your life is ultimately beneficial, because if you choose wisely, just like you made the motion of the hands, filling in the gaps, you can find someone that will fill in all your gaps, man. And what that does is make you ultimately more powerful. And what I mean by that is, if you choose someone who's strong where you're weak, and you're strong where they're weak, and then you merge that, you become one complete unit, and your power level in this world, your influence, your power, your status will ultimately increase. And you will be able to accomplish things that you never would have dreamed of by putting the dream together. Because if you're manifesting and your wife's manifesting, it's happening on one level and it's happening on one level over here. But if you combine the dream and stay in sync with your wife, that goal is happening twice as fast. because you're both, working towards that same dream and that same vision. And men who have wives, even girlfriends, who try to play the tough, macho, I'm the boss scenario. Let me tell you something. I'm the king in my household. Mm-hmm. I run this shit, But if I was not listening to my wife on every single decision, what her opinion was, how she felt about it, I would be not using 50% of the resources that I have within my house. Mm-hmm. Why would I have a wife that's an NP, highly educated, been through a lot of things in life that I have not been through? Why would I not take her opinion into consideration for the sake of my pride? So a lot of times I'll also say this, is that as many times I think I'm right, I think I know the way, I think I know the direction, my wife just talked me out of it. And that's what a good leader does, is listen to their people. When I was a manager, I never wanted a yes man working for me. I want you calling me on my BS. I want you telling me what's what, but I want you to be respectful when you do it. Yeah. And some of my best ideas that I ever came up with in this world have been from my employees that work for me and from my wife. And just like you said, when they feel heard and they feel part of the equation, they will back you up every time, man. And you will be able to accomplish things that you never would have been able to accomplish on your own by combining resources. So being single is great. It's fun. And I encourage people to do it until you feel like you had enough. But to say that, this new culture that we're free, we're independent, we don't want nobody latched onto us, it's the opposite. If you get with the right person, then you're combining and elevating, not being dragged down. And if you're with a person that you're feeling snagged and dragged down, then move on.
You picked wrong.
To that point, that's perfect how you ended your statement on that, because to that point, that phrase, happy wife, happy life, can have different energies behind it. It could be happy wife, happy life, for sure, with that type of energy that we just been talking about. Yeah. Or it could be happy wife, happy life, old ball and chain type thing, dragging me down. Oh, I got to bring her everywhere I go. I got to, It just depends on what lenses you're looking at, what energy you're receiving that from. And if you're in a healthy relationship where you guys are both bringing 100% to each other, not 50-50, both bringing 100% to each other, then it's gonna unlock levels for sure. It's gonna create that greatness, that's for damn sure. Yeah. And you're gonna reach new heights that you never even seen before. So I would say, take what Robert said, which is, when you're ready though, that's when you get yourself into a loving, healthy relationship. But if you're not ready, you still feeling promiscuous, you still feel like running the streets, same vice on both sides. Like, do that until it's like run its course, and eventually you got to choose growth. Otherwise, like you're gonna reach a place where you're like, man, this shit is not what I envisioned life to be. I don't feel a sense of fulfillment just running the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have real love and fulfillment. And to be honest with you, I'm not even there yet, and I'm in my late 30s. You know what I'm saying? I've been through many relationships where, they just went south, and a lot of it was due to me. I'd say 100% was due to me, because I wasn't quite ready to let my walls down. I wasn't quite ready to devote myself to these women that wanted to be with me, that wanted the very best for me, and they were willing to give that in turn. You know what I'm saying? But I just was scared. I was not a complete person as I'm working myself up to be in this very point in my life. So, I would say that if you're a young person out there, there's a lot that can kind of confuse you. For sure, you're getting all these different influences that are pushing you and pulling you in different directions. But I would say just listen to your heart. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, know when you're ready, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're not ready. Only you know when you're ready. And when you're ready, it could produce some of the best fruit possible for you. I firmly believe that. I know out there, I'm currently working on myself. I'm attracting my queen. I'm attracting my goddess. You know what I'm saying? And I believe all that shit that I've been through in my life has happened up to this point for reasons I can't explain, but I know it's happening for the greater good of myself. And when I do eventually meet that queen and we do merge and we unite as one, I'm already knowing this level of CEO y'all see right now, it's going places y'all don't even see yet.
You're gonna really tap into a whole nother source, man. It's gonna feel like you're completed, like Robert said, having that other side of you be able to come together as one to complete the mission, man. You got to have goals, not just dream goals. And one of your main goals is just to be disciplined. The one thing I do know that it takes to be with a woman is discipline above all else. All right. You have to understand how to be humane enough to listen to her, understand what she's saying, not just listening to her talk, understand what she's saying. You got to be courageous enough to protect her when it's time to get out, and not just with your words or with your fists, but also spiritually, financially, emotionally. Figure out a way to be courageous enough to stand up for her when she can't even stand up for herself. And not only for her, but for your family, for your legacy. Because the things and the laws that y'all write are going to be the very creeds that your children live by. So make sure you're being responsible enough to do those things and say those things and stand on those statements. Don't nobody want no jellyback leader. If you are the head of the household, your wife is very much the neck. So no matter where you want to go, she's going to direct you wherever you're headed, my guy. So make sure you got somebody that is smart and moderate enough to respect you and understand what you're asking for. I hear a lot of young men, when they hear that happy wife, happy life statement, they automatically assume that, oh man, she's gonna have to submit to me in order for me to make her happy. You have to understand what you're submitting, young man. You're submitting your time, money, effort, resources. Be responsible enough to make sure that's stuff that will last forever. Don't give her no temporary love, no temporary time, no temporary effort. Do not introduce anybody to anything that you can't maintain, especially somebody that you claim to be building a legacy with. It's about discipline, being selfless enough to understand what is better for the greater good, being selfless enough to bow out of an argument when things are getting heated. Don't just always feel like you need to combat everything that's said to you. Understand, absorb, and then do what Robert told you what he was. Be the leader of your household, okay? Listen to what's going on, man. We at an all-time high have been expressing ourselves, whether it be on social media or it be in our friend circles. I'm talking about, bro, I'm hearing barbershop talk on Twitter Spaces, Clubhouse, apps like Wisdom all the time. I'm like, damn, y'all out here just really spilling all of the tea. Like, I'm telling women any and everything. And we should, but we should cultivate these safe spaces by respecting our leaders. When you see a man talking like Robert, respect the words that he's saying. I feel like we hear that whole rhetoric of, oh man, this sounds lame. Happy wife, happy life. What about me? What about you as a man? What you're setting down in your household? Respectfully, what are you doing in your household? Because it's important for us as individuals to get our house in order before we step outside and try to lead other men. I love being able to have this podcast. I love being able to have this platform. I stand on being unbiased, but I couldn't be unbiased if I didn't look at men and be like, everything that you want to be, you have to have it first. So what I'm saying is all you require is you. So your rhetoric, your discipline, your attitude, all of that is important if you want to step outside your households and say you want a woman. Because that's somebody's daughter, bruh. If you want to lead somebody's daughter down a road of destruction, all right, that's on you. But as for me and my house and the real ones that listen to these podcasts, they're not coming here to listen how to be a strong man, typical to what society says. They want to be disciplined. They want to have their houses in order. They want to create greatness and unlock levels in their life that they never knew were open to them. But see, having a good woman in your life will do that for you. Being a good man to her, providing a happy life for yourself as an individual first, could be that one thing that could lead you into a life that you never knew. So I'm glad that we discussed this for the young man. I'm glad we brought that to their attention because it's about protecting your family and being safe. But man, Sia, when you think about protecting yourself, man, what do you do on a daily basis to show that you're disciplined enough to protect your family?
Man, great question. Brilliant question. Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm out here pretty much solo dolo, but I always do things with my family in mind. Even the people I live with here, my auntie, I got 2 aunties that I'm living with out here in Hawaii. And, you know, I definitely, for myself, in terms of discipline, I have a set of non-negotiables that I do every single day to make sure that I sharpen my iron every single day, continue to elevate myself 1%, at least 1% every single day, just trying to get better, get sharper, get smarter. You know what I'm saying? I'm training. Like I told y'all before we even started recording, man, I stay ready, so I ain't got to get ready. And it's fact, you got to be ready for whatever, because life is unpredictable. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing that you truly can control is you. And if you can't, and you said a lot of great things in what you just said, Cam, bro, because a lot of people want to lead other people, but they can't even lead themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna expect other people to follow you? You can't even lead yourself.
Man.
And a true leader is one that's adaptable, one that will lead from the front, lead from behind, lead from the right, lead from the left. Whatever that leader needs to do, that's a leader. And, you know, Rob touched on it when he was talking about, you know, being a manager. I always loved working with managers that were like Rob, because they're people. You know what I'm saying? And they listen and they're there with you and they'll go through to the trenches with you. They're not so high and mighty. That's not a manager. You're not a manager, Rob. You're a leader.
Yes.
And people tend to follow that mold of a person versus, just a boss that'll be like, do that, pick up that piece of trash for me because you're beneath me. And that's the type of person that I personally can't stand. I've never really jived with, and I've never operated under as well. As in my time as a manager in the past, I've learned that at an early stage in the game, man. You got to be with your people because that's your team. You're only as strong as your weakest link. You know what I'm saying? And you really want to make sure that everybody's tightened up. We all together on this. We all see eye to eye. We all know which direction we're going in. And the only way for you to do that is to first lead yourself, man. You can only speak so much, man. You gotta, like, your actions are gonna speak for you. If you're that dude that's out there, like, I love Rick Ross, man. You know, he owns all these wing stops and, you know, rallies and all that stuff. But this man, if y'all ain't read his book, Perfect Day to Boss Up, I suggest you do so. The audiobook's out there on YouTube as well. Great audiobook. He talks about specifically, man, he's not gonna tell somebody to do something that he won't do himself. So he goes, checks out his store, and he sees something on the floor. He's not gonna ask the employee just because, even if they don't know him or whatever, or he don't know them, he's gonna pick up the broom himself and he's gonna start sweeping. And that's the biggest boss on that CEO level, doing the small things that make the business run. It's not even just about the business. It's about being a leader, practicing what you preach, right? And that respect factor that you gain from that goes such a long way with people. And you're not even doing it really for that. You're doing it because in your heart, you know it's the right thing to do. It's you being a man of integrity, doing things the right way, right? Doing things that, like, you know, you need to do. It's your duty as a man. And when you understand that, shit unlocks for you, man. Straight up.
Man, I'm so glad you mentioned some of those words that a lot of people need to hear. Having those non-negotiables setting that contract up with yourself, signing it, and not wavering on the things that you signed up to do for yourself, because you have a duty to life and your family to be the man you need to be. And Robert, I gotta ask you, man, how do you show your family, because you have a family and you're in your household daily, man, how do you show them that you're disciplined enough to continue to be their leader?
Oh man, I mean, the question, the energy right now is really dope, man. And I'll say this: when I was a manager, I treated everyone exactly how I wanted to be treated, from the bottom to the top. And I was also the person who would never ask somebody to do something that I wasn't willing to do myself. I didn't spend time in the office like the other managers did. I did my work before my employees got there and after they left. And while they were there, I was out on the floor, you know, in the freezing cold warehouse, putting in the work with them. And my favorite employee in that place was the janitor. And I respected that man and he respected me. And because of that loyalty, that love and respect, that mutual respect that we had, that man was the most magnificent janitor I've ever seen. That place was spotless. On top of that, a level up, an unlocking of a level that you would never even find if you did not treat that janitor like the absolute wonderful human being that he was. He knew everything. He heard everything. He knew what was going around in every circle within that building. And guess who we came back to report it to?
Yes, sir.
Me. So I had an edge over everybody because I was friends with the guy that nobody looked at, the guy that was pushing the broom down the hall. But guess what? Me and him was buddy. He told me everything that everybody was saying. So I ultimately had the competitive edge on people in that building. Not to mention, whenever they tried to throw something down the pipeline, they had to ask me because I had the loyalty and love and respect of the people. It didn't matter who was higher up on the chain. It wasn't going to happen unless I said so. That's because
people's champ.
Unless I said. Number two, talking about discipline. Now, this is funny, and I want to say this on the air. I want people to understand this because I see this real, and I didn't want to start commenting on it within the space of Instagram with a bunch of fraudulent people out there, a bunch of people that don't even believe what they're saying, and they would never say it out loud if they were in the realm of reality.
So you brought it to the real ones. Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Bring it to the real ones right here on the table. You want to talk about discipline? We're going to talk about discipline. You want to talk about creating value as a man? We're going to talk about creating value as a man. I'm going to tell you, you ain't got to make a goddamn dollar to do it.
Yes.
I seen this. It said, if your wife made $500K a year, would you be a stay-at-home dad? Now, the reel was a joke. The reel was a guy with the towel on his head. He was dancing around with the wine and all that stuff with the robe on.
Mm-hmm.
Before I read the comments and seen all these fake macho guys going, no, I could never make less money than my woman. I would never do that, and blah, 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 and all this stuff. I see one guy say, I have to have my purpose. How's your job create your purpose, first of all? Secondarily, here's what I got to tell you. My wife makes $200K a year, and I'm a stay-at-home dad. And I'm a goddamn man more than most of those guys out there commenting on that post saying I would never do that. You know why? Because I know how to create value within my household as a man. When my wife asked me to do that, she came to me because she know I got pride. She know I has an ego. Rob, I could take this position on the travel. We could go see the world, and you could stay home and work on your podcast. What? And I thought a lot. I thought long and hard. I didn't jump into it like, I'm going to stay home and put the towel on and drink the wine and all that shit. No. I go, damn, I'm a boss at my job.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I make good bread. I got a 401k. Why would I do that? But when that scamdemic came through and they laid me off, I said, we out. We out. So what I had to ask myself is, are you ready to work as hard for your family that your wife is, even without going to work? Are you willing to do that? And I said, damn right. Are you ready and willing to be disciplined enough to get up in the morning every day and work just as hard as your wife is to push forth the vision for your family? So I do the same thing as CL. I set certain non-negotiables that I have to do each day. And this is what it entails. I wake up before anybody in my house. I'm meditating. I'm praying. I'm getting right. I work throughout the day where I work out. I work on my book. I work on my podcast. I either read a chapter or write a chapter. You know, there's just examples. Like this week, my wife's worked 3 days. I made non-negotiable fasting for 16 hours a day, non-negotiable cold showers every day, non-negotiable workouts, a non-negotiable hour each day working on the book or the podcast. So I'm working just as hard as my wife's working to project my family to that next level. Not only am I also changing diapers, feeding my son, teaching them everything they need to know, doing my homeschooling with my son. So you can think what you want, homie. I'm about my business, and I'm a man standing up on mine, always. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I don't make $1 in my household, and I dare somebody to say something to me about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm on tilt with mine, man. I work hard. I go crazy at it. You know what I'm saying? Because we try and get there. We try and get there together. So, you know, it may come a time where she gets hurt and I'm working. You know, if you trust the person you with to not take advantage of you or not try to throw that in your face or not try to make you feel bad about yourself, if you trust that person not to do that, then why would you do that? And if the person is doing that, maybe you're with the wrong one, or maybe you ain't working hard enough for your family.
See, Rob, they ain't never had that conversation before because I've been in a similar situation as well, where I was out of a job, bruh. I ain't have really much else going for me. I was applying for work. Nothing was going for me. But my lady at the time was like, hey, I got an opportunity to go over to Japan. They're going to pay for my rent. I'm just going to be working and basically all the money's mine. Do you want to go overseas with me? I didn't have a passport. I didn't have my birth certificate at the time, nor the information I needed in order to get my passport together. I had never been out of the country before. I had never even seen anything outside of maybe, Virginia Beach as far as going up close to the east. So I'm going out. What you mean far east? We talking about all the way out east? Sure, why not? I didn't make a single dollar while I was in Japan. Did not make a single penny. But like you said, I trusted my woman. I had the conversation. She said, hey, I want to be able to do this for us. I want you to be able to put yourself in a position where you can focus on your creativity. And while I was there, I made sure that I wasn't reciprocating no energy. I was setting the tone for what I wanted my family to do. It don't matter who making the money. We bring it in the pot and we delegating it where it needs to go anyway. So whether or not she's making the money or I'm making the money, it don't matter. This is for our legacy. This is for what we're building. And so while she was making the money, I showed discipline by going and getting my spirit right. I was at those temples every single day meditating. This shit documented. Y'all know what's going on, real ones. Y'all been watching our lives. Y'all see how we document this stuff and show you all how to build this discipline up on a consistent basis. By us even posting regularly, you can see the discipline. You can see the ambition. You can see the drive. And I made sure that I set that tone then in Japan. Okay, you say it's all on me while you gonna make this money? Fine. I'm gonna make sure that I be the spiritual leader of this household. Let me go do the things that I'm gonna want my family to do. You say you up before everybody else is up and you're praying and meditating? That's setting the tone for your family. You're already setting that positive energy into the air. So when they wake up into that creative mind space. They wake up to those vibrations because dad's already set the tone. And I was doing the same exact thing because I knew I might not be responsible for the wallet, but I am responsible for the value that this family brings. Your value, young man, is not in your wallet. So when you go out there trying to flex your bank account or flex your salary, all that tells me is you believe that you're a high value man. But see, that does not make you a high value man. That just makes you a high earning man. A high value man has discipline. He sets the tone in his household. He's courageous enough to say, hey, if I ain't got it, I ain't got it. Because the theory is brilliant. If she got it financially, I'm going to respect the positions that we set in our household. All this gender role stuff that y'all learn from society, all this trauma that's been passed down through your DNA, it needs to stop immediately, okay? Do what works best for you and your situation. If you and your partner love each other enough to be able to relieve each other of anything society told y'all had to be, you should count that as a blessing. If you're able to live in your own little world with your partner and with your family without society being that fucking one thing that creates that roadblock between you, count it all joy. We want to see you all have healthy connections. We want to see you all be able to walk outside and be like, man, I got everything in order inside. What do I need out here? What am I doing out in these streets running around trying to cheat on my woman? What am I doing out here trying to squander my legacy and just nutting in random ass women? What am I doing not making sure I'm protected enough to come home? Why do we as young men think that, man, we got all the time in the world? We don't have all the time in the world. Your legacy is going to live on if you start today by being disciplined enough to understand even a fraction of what we've been talking about on this episode. And there will be more to come. Y'all know there will be more to come. But the main thing I want to talk about before we get out of here is something that we all need to come to grips with. We need to start doing some shadow work, fellas. All that stuff you did in the dark, all those things that you might be ashamed about, all those quote unquote skeletons in your closet, it's time to clear them out. It's time to really get in here, dive into the things that we're afraid of doing. I talk about being courageous all the time as a man because if you're courageous enough to be a man, you can be tender enough to love a woman. And that's why I'm trying to get y'all into this mode of understanding, man, the shadow work is very necessary. Man, Robert, how do you go about trying to help these men understand that, man? Just because there's a shadow over there doesn't mean it's the end. How do you go about trying to help somebody understand where to start when it comes to getting that shadow work done?
Well, I don't exactly know what the term shadow work means. I do hear it a lot, and I'll speak about my own brand of shadow work, which was admitting it all first to myself. Admitting it all first to myself and being brutally honest with myself about the worst of the worst things that have happened within my mind and my body and my soul. But something that was beneficial for me to increase the speed of working some of that karma out was finding a spouse. Because my wife, in the opening up and like bearing of my soul, like some of it was intentional and some of it wasn't, like, you know, because my wife's a detective and most people's wives are. So like, some of it was intentional. I bared my soul. I started trusting her more and more and opened myself up to her. So, some of it was unintentional, things that she found out, whether before or after. But once all of the dark, because all the dark will come to the light. let's just be clear on that. There's nothing that you could do behind closed doors that eventually will not reach the light. The truth will always find its way in out into the open. So never think that any act that you carry out is in the dark or will remain in the dark forever. And it's why now I operate as I'm being looked at, which most times you are. You're probably on camera. It's about everywhere you go, but even in your own home. But I carry out as if I'm being viewed. I behave as if my family's there watching. And that was my goal as I went out into the world more and more away from my family. I said, be the guy that they think you are.
Yes.
Be the guy that your kids think you are. Be the man that your wife knows you can be. Be that guy. Ultimately, if I fell a little short, I did pretty damn good because I aimed so high. Secondarily, I will say that the shadow is just as important as the light.
Yes.
You want to focus on the light, and that's great. I do myself. I have to because I have more shadow than light. So if I don't focus on the light, my shadow will very, very fair. You see just in the last segment where I talked to the aggression and all grew because it is very much within me, the shadow. But I found that, and I've learned this through a little bit of psychology, Carl Jung and Jordan Peterson, is the integration of the shadow. Find your shadow. Be blatantly honest with yourself. Open yourself up to someone if you have that ability to do so, like with a spouse and someone who loves you and cares about you, maybe a family member, that you could do that without judgment and maybe have someone to help you work it out. But in today's society, they think they want to neglect the shadow. They don't want to admit they have a shadow. They want to keep the shadow in the dark. Or when they get to the light, they want to totally eradicate the shadow. And I agree with Carl Jung and Jordan Peterson that the integration of the shadow is the most beneficial to the well-being. Because if you're a man in today's society, if you totally diminish your shadow, you become docile and weak. So it's more of going back to what you're saying about discipline, becoming that beast, becoming that monster, cultivating that strength, developing that intensity of spirit, and then being able to turn it on and off like a switch. So I'm cool, I'm respectful, I'm loving, I'm caring, I'm kind, I'm compassionate. Mess with me and my family and watch that switch happen very fast. It's why I speak many, many times about the benefits of cold water, because cold water has a scientific benefit. It's one that I don't pay much attention to, but it's there. Immune system, blood flow, things of that sort.
Yeah.
For me, it's more of that, and I'm showing my age here, that Sylvester Stallone over the top, where I switch my hat back. And now all of a sudden I'm a different being. I'm a robot, I'm a monster, I'm a machine. And I will destroy anything in my path. Yeah. So it's when that cold water hits, I have to turn that switch from the regular, calm, cool person that I am to the monster that will destroy anything in my path. So that then when adversity hits in life, I could flip that switch. I now have the power. But if you don't have the power of that switch, you may lose it at the wrong time, get yourself arrested, do something that you regret. But if you're a man and you're a leader, you have cultivated that strength, you have integrated that shadow, and you have gained mastery over that switch. And you're able to turn it on and off at your will. And when you become that person, you become a very powerful individual, my friends.
Man, that's a level of voluntary ego death that I encourage all of you to seek out. Yes, you can take a cold shower and experience exactly what Robert was just talking about. Flip that switch on yourself. Don't just bitch out. Stay in there. Hang in there. Show yourself what you're about. I've seen so many people try to walk out on their obligations because they don't desire to be better. It's like once that pressure's on, oh man, I gotta fold. No, pressure makes diamonds, but it also bursts pipes. Understand exactly what you got going on and how you want to do it, man. It's admitting what's going on. I've talked about this on other episodes, and y'all have heard us speak about it on our episodes, so make sure y'all go and dive into the archives, okay? Unlocking levels ain't no joke. Make sure you go and check out how many levels CL is unlocked and go and create greatness with Robert on his podcast. I'm telling you right now, these gems are not rare. They're very prevalent where we come from and where we get down. So you heard this on somebody's podcast. Continue to go back and listen to this stuff. Because when we talk about admitting things, you got to talk to yourself in the mirror, fam. You got to literally look yourself in the eye and tell yourself what you're doing and how you want to do it. If you can lie to yourself, then you cold. I'm sorry, I don't want to be nowhere near you. If you can look yourself in the eye and lie to yourself about what you're doing and how you're doing it, even if you don't admit it to anybody else on this planet, at least look yourself in the eye and tell yourself the truth. Once you begin to do that, you address those shadows, and don't be afraid of that shadow. That just means there's a bright light nearby. I don't care where you are and what you got going on. Like Robert said, it's going to come to light at some point. The sun is going to shift. It is going to shine. And make sure that once it's there, you've removed all of these skeletons in your closet so you can make room for your blessings. That's all we're trying to help you do. Realize that at certain points in times, it's going to get difficult. It's going to be tough. But I mean, your mama or your girlfriend or the lady in your life might be a detective, but they're also paleontologists. They're going to dig up them bones at some point. All right. Make sure your house is clean. Make sure your shit is in order, man. Because it's going to be very difficult, extremely difficult to explain to people that you claim to love why you are hiding so much pain, why you are hiding so much trauma, when they possibly could have been there to help relieve some of that stress if you would have just been honest with yourself. CL, man, you and I talked about shadow work on multiple podcasts, man. When you hear somebody say shadow work, what do you think about that term, and how do you come to grips with what's going on in those shadows?
I'm so glad you touched on this subject, man, because it's important. Because at the root of everything we're talking about, Cam and Rob, is it all boils down to you as an individual, I as a person, I as a man. So if you're a young man listening to this, everything starts and begins and ends with you. You know what I'm saying? And for you to be your very best self, you need to, like Rob was saying, integrate the shadow as well. And what shadow work to me is having that tough, brutally honest conversation with yourself, stripping yourself down to your fullest like exposure, bro, and just literally being real with yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop being a cold motherfucker, like Cam said, and stop lying to yourself, because you're just out there hurting other people if you're not being real with yourself. And for you to reach that type of level of completeness and, you know, discipline, you have to know yourself. And that's what shadow work is. I think it's a lot of healing old trauma, a lot of addressing old issues that have plagued you for too long, breaking generational curses, all these different things, this real deep inner work that a lot of us were not taught was important, or we didn't even know existed. We just thought we were supposed to go along with the program and just ignore what the voices were telling us inside. And I think a lot of what Rob is saying and Dr. Jordan Peterson is saying and Carl Jung was saying is that, like, you don't have to necessarily cast out the shadow and, you know, make it like the enemy of some sort. Like, it's a part of you. You got to accept it. You got to forgive yourself. You got to do that hard work of being brutally honest with yourself and telling yourself, I want better. If you want better for yourself, guess who's going to have to do it for you? You, motherfucker. Shit. So on real shit, like, you're gonna have to get real with yourself and like heal yourself in a lot of ways, have these tough conversations. And this only happens in solitude. This only happens in moments of where you break down and you go through these traumatic situations and you don't blame other people. You look yourself in the mirror and you realize, like, I am the cause of everything that's happened to me. And if you are the cause of everything that's happened to you, guess what? Who's the cause of everything that's good is gonna happen to you too? You, motherfucker. Yeah. Shit. So on some real shit, man, like, that's what the spiritual inner work, this deep work is all about. Is about healing yourself, forgiving yourself, working on your relationship, forgiving others. You know what I'm saying? Finding that truth, uncovering who you truly are beneath your name, beneath your body, your spirit, your spiritual being of who you really are. And when you start to go down that well of who you are and understand and go within, you realize just how limitless you really are and how connected you are to everything. And none of the other shit really fucking matters, bro, because what somebody else thinks about you is none of your business. It's more so about what you think about yourself. And that's how you cultivate a real, genuine self-love in yourself. It takes a lot of work and it's fucking scary. I promise you that. Like, I'm sure Rob can say the same thing. You, Cam, can say the same thing. It's not a fun, pleasant thing to do in the very beginning. It's scary as shit. You're turning to yourself, all these things that you've been avoiding for so long in your life. You're finally making the decision to be courageous enough to be like, I want to address this. I want to look myself in the mirror and take full accountability for where I'm at in my life. Stop blaming other people, because that hasn't gotten you anywhere. in order for you to get to where you want to get to, it's all going to be on you at the end of the day. So you got to make this decision to go within, heal yourself, do that deep shadow work, that inner work, and forgive yourself in so many ways, man. And just continue to trust yourself, build that trust with yourself, build that love for yourself, and keep moving forward as a man and just keep learning, man. So as hard as it is, I always make this example. It's like when you have like a room, right? And it's very disorganized, super disorganized. In order for it to get anywhere close to being organized again, it's going to have to get more messy than it already is. Because you're going from each section of the room. You know, you're having your moments with certain things, just like when you go inside yourself, you're having your moment with yourself. Like, oh, this time when I fucked up when I was a kid, like I need to revisit that and address it and close that chapter so that I can just file it away. And I've forgiven myself and I've healed myself from that. And as you're cleaning a room, it's going to take some time to eventually get yourself to a place where you started to see some progress. You're like, oh shit, I've gotten rid of a bunch of old shit. You know what I'm saying? I've forgiven stuff for this. I've given things away. I've let things go. Now you're starting to see the progress. And then eventually, with enough time, with enough persistence, with enough work, you're going to get to a place where you're like, damn, look at all the progress I made. This room looks better and better and better. And you're going to keep wanting to do that work, to keep wanting to make sure you're strong and making sure your room is clean. And when your room is clean, finally at the end of the day, like, damn, I love this room. I want to keep this room clean. And what do I mean by that? Eating healthier foods, letting go of certain toxins that are poisoning you. Even the things that you consume, whether it be on the phone or on news or whatever the case may be, you want to just feed yourself good stuff because you knew how much work it took to finally get to that place. And you don't ever want to go down to that rock bottom again because you've been there, you've seen what it's like, and you know that's not a pleasant place to be at. But you also know that any given time, life can throw you down that hole again. So it's up to you to make sure you have these non-negotiables. Be disciplined with yourself. Self-discipline is self-love. And dude, what did Mike Tyson say recently on a post that I saw? I think I posted on my Instagram where he was like, having self-discipline is like doing the things that you hate to do, but like you love it. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, you have full control over self. When you have full control over self, you're a leader of yourself. You can lead yourself to do the things that you don't necessarily want to do, but as a man, you understand it's your duty to do, and it's fulfilling your purpose. So that's in a nutshell what I think about shadow work.
Wow, man, y'all out here really bringing some light to those that are afraid of their shadows, man. And the key thing is to forgive yourself, fellas. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for giving up, because you're going to give up. Even on this journey, yes, you'll give up, but forgive yourself for giving up and get back up, because this journey truly is about wrestling your angels and empathizing with your demons. Challenge your beliefs. Go in there, challenge the things you believe so you can stand on them when you're challenged, and then go and just make peace and come to grips with some of the darkest parts of your reality. And when you do that, when you create that healthy balance, you'll become more disciplined, because it ain't about you no more. It's about the people around you that you'll affect with your ideals, with your energy, with your time. Man, if you're sitting around somebody and they literally can't stand to be near you, when you turn around and look at all the people you affected by not being who you truly should have been, you're going to feel some shame. You're going to feel some regret, but I guarantee you on the other side of all that regret and all that shame is joy and peace. If you come to grips with the fact that you might have not been your best self in those moments, but you can be that from here on out. It's discipline. It's giving yourself credit where credit is due and making sure you check anytime that you made a misstep. Fellas, before we wrap up this episode, I want to know your final thoughts on what we've spoken about today. Did we leave anything out? Should we continue to go further? Y'all know we can go the rest of the evening. I ain't got no time for you fellas, man. But, any last words to the people out there? Because this has got to be a series. We will come back with another episode like this, but I just got to know how y'all feeling about this episode specifically.
Rob, go ahead, Rob.
Oh, man. I mean, I've been waiting to do this for a while, and I spoke about in the beginning why I wanted to do it, that I know that you gentlemen always speak from the heart with the true wish that something you say would hit someone at the right time, and that's why I do it, and I see that within you, and it made me want to ask you two gentlemen to be on the first edition of Championship Mindset. And that was kind of where the idea, you know, if you've been paying attention to Creating Greatness, you've seen that I've done the Everyday Excellence series. And I think I covered all bases on that. I'll be dropping the last episode very, very soon about Everyday Excellence at home, and doing my bonus episode on Everyday Excellence in the bedroom for my subscribers. It's going to cost you 99 cents a month. And that just keep your heads up for the championship mindset, man, because I do think that we left a lot out. I think that if any of us had the time, which I certainly don't right now, but I would love to continue this conversation with you all and more, because I think it's important to get other perspectives, like we talked about having my son on, or having some youth members on, or having a woman on and asking what she thinks it takes to be a great man. Because I think that men are very much so under attack nowadays. You know, you hear things about toxic masculinity as if such a thing could possibly exist. You know, if there was no masculinity, and this is a quote from Andrew Tate, men wouldn't be running into burning buildings to save people. Police officers wouldn't put themselves in danger to protect innocents. You know, this masculinity, this high drive, this intense fire that makes us men is what drives the goddamn universe. And you want to try and stop that? Do you want people to be weak? Do you want people to be docile? Do you want people to be easily manipulated? Or do you want strong male leaders in their communities raising up these people to continue on these lessons for generation upon generation? And I felt that need to express these ideas because I'm raising mine, right? You know, but that's free. I want to reach more people with this idea and get their perspective on what they think it takes, not only to be a good man in today's society, but what does it take to be a good human? You know, let's even broaden the horizon there. And I couldn't have done it better than I did it today with you two gentlemen, man. And I thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart for being part of this. And we're just going to keep it going, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Whoo, man, love those blessings, man. You dropping them on them, bro. Wow, incredible.
100%, man. And to echo what Rob said, man, I think this was a brilliant type of podcast episode that we did, just coming together, the three of us. I think we all genuinely come from that place of righteousness, man, that Cam talks about so much, you know. And you know, when you do come from that place of righteousness, it doesn't mean that we're trying to be perfect or anything like that, or we're trying to say we high and mighty or better than anybody, man. We just trying to do what's right. We just trying to live our truth and walk in our purpose and, you know, fulfill our purpose at the end of the day. And I think that, Rob, you touched on it, man. That's absolutely something that I strive to do with every single episode, every single interaction in life, really. If I can seek to inspire somebody or drop some motivation or pour into somebody, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take that opportunity to do so. You know what I'm saying? Am I a perfect human being? Hell no, by no means. But I would also say that I do believe that we're all perfectly imperfect or imperfectly perfect, man. I think we all fit in this equation together, and we should all stop fighting each other, you know what I'm saying, and find a way to reunite again, because there's just so much. Rob, like you said, men are under attack, man. I feel the same way. And, you know, there's so many different conflicting ideologies going on out there, and it's falling into the plan of dividing all of us. We're stronger together. And you see how much love and unity and light we brought on this podcast episode with the three of us, man. Like, whoever gets this is going to get a lot of value. I firmly believe that. And if we just help one person, we did our job. And just like Rob said, man, like, I think I echo the same thing. I'm pretty sure Cam will say the same thing. We want to reach as many people as we can with this. And it's not necessarily all for monetarily gain.
Yeah.
Be able to fulfill our purpose. This is what we want to inspire and affect change in a positive manner in this world, especially where there's a lot of confusion, a lot of anger, a lot of hate rhetoric. There's a lot of just division. So, you know, if we can come together and show that we can be unified, look at us. We're up 3 different cultures, 3 different age groups, you know what I'm saying? All over different parts of the world, you know what I'm saying? And we out here making it happen. And we can all do that, man. Every single one of us, if we're coming from that place of righteousness, that place of love and leading with love. And I don't care if you're masculine or feminine with that shit. Like, that place of love is the strongest power in the universe. If you're coming from that place, you cannot go wrong.
Yes, man. We talk about coming from that place of righteousness because Cam is not saying he's perfect. I'm just saying I'm me. Robert is not telling you that he's perfect. He's just saying that he's Robert. CL is not saying that he's perfect. He's saying that he's Chris. We're responsible for what we do and the energy that we promote out into this universe. Love yourself enough to speak out. Love yourself enough to stand on your beliefs. Love yourself enough to take time and be patient with this journey that you're on. There will be a lot of opposition on the road to being who you desire to be. You have help. There's a brotherhood here. If you hear these words and you identify with anything that we said, reach out on our platforms. Do not be afraid to send a DM. I am not above speaking to you about what we can do to continue to love ourselves. We want y'all to be safe. We want y'all to be healthy. But above all else, we want you all to unlock levels and continue to create greatness so you can speak your unbiased truth. I am the number one real one, Cameron A. Sharpe.
Man. Tell them who you are, brother.
Hey, man, Robert Prasch, the King of Comebakks with 2 Ks at the end on all social media outlets. And I will say the same as Cam. Reach out to me, man. creatinggreatnesspodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from y'all.
1000%. I echo those same sentiments. It's your boy CL the Source, your friendly neighborhood hope dealer, serving up that motivation, inspiration, and that positivity always. And if you want to reach out, feel free to hit me up on my platform. Hit me up on Instagram. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. I ain't hard to find, baby. Just look me up.
Yes. Make sure you tap in with some real ones. We'll be back soon, y'all. Peace.